All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're taking a deep look at two of the most powerful concepts in the Quran, Hajj and Qurban. But we're not just going to rehash the traditional definitions. Instead, we're going straight to the source code, the original language, to see what it really says.
When you hear the word Hajj, this is probably the image that pops into your head, right? It's epic. Millions of people, a massive pillar of the faith. It's just this incredible, awe-inspiring spiritual journey.
But here's the question that kicks this whole investigation off. What if that familiar picture is based on centuries of interpretation? What if the actual Arabic words in the Quran are drawing a map to something else? Not a physical pilgrimage, but a whole different kind of framework. So, to figure that out, we have to go back to the source code. The analysis we're exploring today is all about peeling back those layers of tradition and looking at the foundational building blocks of the text itself, the Arabic root words. The tool for this job is called root word analysis, and the idea behind it is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You see, in Arabic, most words come from a three-letter root. It's like linguistic DNA. So by tracking how that one root is used everywhere it appears in the Quran, you can start to see its core, unshakable meaning before any later interpretations were added on top. Okay, so we've got our tool. Let's put it to work. We're going to zero in on the key terms at the very heart of Hajj and Qurban and just follow the linguistic clues. First up, the big one, the word Hajj itself. It comes from the root HJJ. Now, here's the twist. When you track this root across the Quran, it doesn't really mean pilgrimage. Its consistent meaning is about arguing, debating, presenting evidence. A hujjah isn't a trip you take. It's a clear, solid proof you present. And this slide just lays that contrast out perfectly. On one side, you have the traditional understanding, Hajj is a ritual journey to Mecca. But on the other, based purely on the text's own language, you get a functional meaning, a great assembly, a gathering focused on establishing a clear proof. And you know what? The text itself seems to point in this direction. It actually states that the whole purpose of this great assembly is so that people can witness benefits for themselves. Now, that sounds a lot like a gathering for real, tangible exchange, social, economic, intellectual, not just performing rituals. Okay, so if Hajj is a great assembly centered on a proof, then where is it supposed to happen? Well, the destination is called Al-Bayt, or the house. The root word here, B-Y-T, consistently means a shelter, a dwelling, or even a system that gives people security. And this is a really crucial point. While tradition says the house is the physical Kaaba building, the Quran itself often describes it by its function. It's not just a block of stone. It's a system, a focal point for all of humanity that provides security and guidance. It's what it does that matters. I mean, just look at how the book itself talks about it. It's called a place of return and security, something set up for all of humanity, equal for the resident and the visitor. That kind of language really frames it as this universal system of unity, not some exclusive members-only location. This brings us to the final piece of our puzzle, Qurban. Traditionally, this is understood as animal sacrifice. But its root, QRB, has a beautifully simple and direct meaning all through the Quran. Nearness, proximity, the simple act of drawing close. And honestly, this changes everything. If Qurban just means that which brings near, then it can't be limited to just one specific ritual. It could be any act, any offering that you make with the intention of achieving qurb, or nearness, to God and to the system of truth. So, we've decoded the individual pieces. How do they all snap together? Well, this linguistic analysis points to one specific verse as the pivotal clue, the one that really unlocks this whole new way of looking at things. This is it. Right in the middle of a passage talking about offerings, the Quran makes this incredibly direct statement. It says the physical stuff, that's not the point. The meat, the blood, that doesn't reach God. Something else does. And that something else is taqwa. This is the real goal. It's not about what you do with your hands. It's about the consciousness, the awareness, the integrity you hold inside. That is what truly reaches the divine. So, when you put it all side by side, you see two completely different pictures emerge. You've got the ritual model, which is all about a geographic trip and physical actions. And then you have this consciousness model, which is about an internal orientation toward unity, sharing resources, and above all, developing that inner state of taqwa. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, the point of this kind of linguistic analysis isn't really to invalidate tradition, but to go back to the text itself and ask a really fundamental question. What is the core message here?
And according to this framework, it's a beautiful logical system. Hajj is the great assembly. The Bayt is the unifying system that serves as its focal point. Qurban is how you contribute, investing your resources to get closer to that system. And Taqwa? That's the whole point, the development of a higher consciousness.
And that leaves us right here with a pretty profound final thought. This analysis really asks us to consider whether the essence of this message is about the external performance of rituals or the internal development of a state of consciousness. It's a question worth pondering.